in federal criminal penalties for possession of up to 1 ounce of marijuana.
While we talk about Toke on Toker Talk Radio.
So, by the way, when it comes to pot, if you're 40 years old, you live in a log cabin in Oregon, you got 12 giant pot plants in your backyard, have a ball.
Live from beautiful Portland, Oregon at Rolla J Studios.
Hey, this is great.
Yes, not cannabis.
Plus your calls live at 971-533-7111.
They're walking on their pants with their cap on backwards, listening to Enema Man and Snoopy Poop Dog.
What's to keep somebody from getting all potted up on weed and then getting behind the wheel? Gateway theory doesn't work. It's a reality.
Holland, is it real? Don't tease me.
We're locking up people that take a couple of puffs of marijuana, and the next thing you know, they got 10 years.
And now, here's your host, the guru of ganja graphics, the sultan of sativa statistics, and the worst nightmare of a reefer mad prohibitionist. A polite, perspicacious, productive pothead with a propensity for PowerPoint. Radical Russ Belville.
Hey, welcome, tokers and tokettes and non-token lovers of liberty. Radical Russ here and Big Island Zane across the desk. How you doing today, Zane?
It's a nice day in Portland.
It's a very, very nice day in Portland.
It's Aloha Friday.
That's right, Aloha Friday, open mic day, yes. All topics available. I got a bunch of stories to wind up for today. We've got, a marijuana researcher who is trying to standardize strains with genetic testing, basically saying, one super silver haze you get one day and another you get another day ain't necessarily the same thing. And she wants to have more standardization. We'll tell you about the gross stuff she found when she tested some medical marijuana strains in Washington State. Herb Thrasher's calling in with the Rockin' Friday Daily Toker Tunes. He's got some music today for us from Under Sin. We've also got a story on drug testing for welfare, this time out of Tennessee. Another case showing why it's a useless waste of time. And at the end of the show, Representative John Micah's hearings on stone driving have basically backfired on him by showing the world and the United States just how much of a distraction and hyperbole this is, how most stone driving is not anything to worry about. But first, we've got these two videos we've been waiting for. Kris Jenner from Keeping Up with the Kardashians getting her 78-year-old mom high, followed by Larry King, Conan, and Andy splitting a pot brownie. Enjoy.
I should write that down. I don't think you've ever been funny.
I think I'll write that down.
I can't.
Mr. Buzzkill is here.
I don't know how to stop laughing.
As usual, he's not happy with us because we're having way too much fun.
Okay, here's the deal. Chris, listen to me. Kendall and Kylie aren't here.
Yeah.
I want that.
You're good friends with Snoop Dogg. You guys are pals.
I like him a lot. He's a great guy.
Okay, I think we have a picture of you two guys hanging out together.
That was on...
That's basically, I think that's the cover of his new album coming out.
That was on his show, and he pretended to be me, and I pretended to be him. The only problem with Snoop Dogg, and you know him, right?
Sure.
Okay.
We hang all the time.
Well, when you're with Snoop Dogg for any period of time, just for a half hour, let's say, you're interviewing him, or walk around the room with him, he proves that you can get secondhand smoke.
Yes.
Because you go home high.
Yeah. So you've gotten high. First of all, I've experienced this when Snoop comes here, and he's Snoop Lion, unless he's back to Snoop Dogg now.
That's right, Snoop Lion.
Yeah, but just to make sure I get his name right. But he was he came here and he smoked so much pot that it filtered out. I was getting high. Andy was already high, and the audience was getting high.
That's right.
Yeah, the band actually straightened out.
Well, it was a low type for them.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm just curious. So here's a question I have for you.
What is it? What is the question?
Good Lord. What a weak point you have.
Thank you. Thank you.
Such an idiot. I don't know why you come back, because I'm such an idiot. Okay. They didn't call it pot back in your day. What do you
mean my day?
Well, come on. Back in the day, back in the day, they didn't call it, what did you call it, jazz cigarettes? Did you ever score some wacky tobacco? Did you ever get any of that, cuckoo dust?
You're on a roll. You're on a roll.
Yeah.
Okay. Fish to fry.
Well, no, whatever.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I'm just curious. Back in the day,
I smoked it a few times with my doctor. Who
are these doctors you get? Who are these doctors? So far, this is what we've heard about your doctor. Take human growth hormone for professional wrestlers and get some wacky tobacco in you, King.
And get a strong handshake.
Yeah.
Okay. So what happened was I smoked it a few times. It was very enjoyable. I liked it. But then I used to smoke a lot of cigarettes. You ever smoke?
No.
No. I smoked 3 packs a day. And I had a heart attack in 1987. And the day I got the heart attack, I stopped smoking.
Right.
And that was many, many years ago. So I was afraid to ever go back to marijuana again because I thought if I smoked marijuana again, I'd go back to cigarettes.
Sure, that makes sense.
So I never tried it again.
Here's my question. You liked it, but you can't smoke it. There's edible marijuana. What about that?
I don't know. I'm not a cookie man.
You're not a cookie man? I've heard you're a cookie man. Wait a minute. What about a pot brownie? Have you had a pot brownie?
No. Why?
We have one right here. We have a pot brownie. I don't know. Just if you're interested, this is.
It looks like you just picked that up off the floor.
I tell you what.
I did. I heard that you had never tried edible, so I thought.
I'll take a bite. You take a bite. You take a bite.
All right. Sure. What the heck? Jeff, is this legal? Are we allowed to do this? What? No, it's not legal. Our producer's telling us it's not legal. Go ahead and do it. I don't care.
LAPD's busy doing other things anyway.
Thanks for handling my food.
Yeah, I got some.
You could have taken a piece and handed it off. You made sure you touched every single piece. Man.
Okay.
It's been on the floor. What's the difference?
It's been on the floor. I got rug in mine.
I don't think there's any weed in that brownie.
Good cover, Andy.
Yes,
there sure isn't any in there. Just keep eating, Larry. It's just a regular brownie.
Yes, it's me, and I'm in love again. And the love is...
That's the highest I've ever seen anyone get so quickly. Huh? Doing, doing, doing. I like the straps.
Oh, great stuff from the Conan O'Brien show with Larry King and the pot brownie. Of course, he didn't get that high that quick. I think he's just having residual high. We'll be right back.
What's to keep somebody from getting all potted up on weed and then getting behind the wheel?
The Russ Belville Show reminds you to never smoke and drive impaired. Hang out for a while. Share.
.420 Radio, the world's voice of marijuana legalization.
My name is Richard William Riggs. I'm a judge in Oregon. In 1998, I was elected to the Oregon Supreme Court, where I served until October of 2006. I've been asked to give my views about the new approach to marijuana initiative that is going to be before the voters very soon, and I'm happy to do so. I've read the measure, and I'm going to vote for it. And the reason I'm going to vote for it is because I think that it's inevitable that marijuana is coming to Oregon in one form or another. And I hope it comes in the form of a good bill like this one. If we're going to have marijuana in Oregon, this is the way to do it. Drugs and marijuana particularly play a huge role in the economic engines of most of the local gangs. The gang-related violence that occurs is often as a result of bad drug transactions of one kind or another. I think the proper legalization of marijuana and the control of it in an appropriate way is a substantial step forward to eliminating some of those problems. Using the criminal justice system to enforce certain societal social norms is kind of a waste of resources. It takes away from the criminal justice system dealing with forcible rapes and murders and so forth. I've read this measure, and I'm going to vote for this measure. And I think anybody who reads the measure and gives it careful thought will probably join me in that vote.
A cannabis broadcast, replaying Fridays at 10 Pacific on
Welcome back, everybody. It's 11 after. That's music from, well, that's something from Suicide Silence. No Pity for a Coward. I'm just afraid of the album cover. But that's some of what I call Cookie Monster metal.
I want cookie. I need cookie. Give me cookie.
That you'll hear occasionally on the Herb Thrasher Flower Hour. Friday nights, 8 p.m. Pacific time. We'll be live tonight here from Rolla J Studios with more great hard rock music. Herb's got a great show ready for you. And if you missed last week's show, check it out. It's coming up next, 5 p.m. You will get the replay of last week's show where Herb Thrasher interviewed Max Cavalera from Soulfly and Sepultura, among other bands. It was a dream come true for him, one of Herb's big heroes in the metal world. And the video's getting lots of hits on YouTube as well. You can check that out. Coming up next here on 420 Radio, Max Cavalera of Soulfly and Sepultura interviewing with Herb Thrasher on the Herb Thrasher Flower Hour. Last week's show in preview for this week's show taking place at 8 p.m. live here on 420 Radio. All right, got this story that I wanted to talk about here that was the Bloomberg Business Week. And it has to do with a woman who is kind of a biotech researcher. Her name is Jessica Tonani, and she sold her previous biotech company for $40 million. She's up in Seattle, and she's picking up weed because what she's doing is she's starting this new company called Verda Bio. And she picks up samples, strain samples from various medical and recreational stores in Washington, trying to isolate the DNA of these samples, testing it for its genetic profile and testing it for, contaminants. The goal of her company is to build a database bringing order to the billions of potential DNA combinations of marijuana varieties, and eventually to be able to create stable strains that people can grow like a red delicious apple. Okay. On first glance on this is something I'm for. I want some strain standardization. Me and Zane have been talking about this, and get some land strains back. Get some, when somebody's selling me Super Silver Haze, I want to know it's always Super Silver Haze. Right. If you got a Big Mac and one day it was a chicken sandwich, that would kind of piss you off, right?
Well, I definitely think it would help if they put maybe the seed company. Yeah. Or, a lot of the flour that we have right now, at least outdoor, is probably autoflower, which is crossed with ruderalis. So, sure. That's a totally different genetic. So when we're talking about, you're getting like critical sensi.
Yeah.
Say,
yeah.
You don't know. It doesn't say autoflower. So, you're not getting the true genetics. So, that could definitely be something that's definitely a misleading thing in terms of misleading consumers, especially in the medical field. That's definitely something that's
what Tonani is saying too here, is that in the article it says that there's 23 medical states to one degree or another, right? And she says that what people are doing now is, if they're a medical patient, which is a redundancy, I shouldn't say that. Anyway, medical patient, what other kind of patient would you be? An insurance patient? No, of course you're a medical patient. But anyway, she says patients right now are doing the equivalent of rummaging through their medicine cabinet blindfolded. One day they might get Tylenol, another day they might get mouthwash. Even when they buy the same strain from the same place, it might not have the same effect because of differences in how each plant is grown. The variety Harlequin, for example, is sometimes recommended for children with epilepsy because it's high in cannabidiol and low in THC, right?
Right.
So Tonani went out and got 20 samples of Harlequin and took them to Analytical 360, which is one of the testing labs in Seattle, and found that out of the 20 samples, 22% of them were high in THC and had almost no CBD. So, everybody's all hot on this CBD bandwagon to help the epileptic kids, and you got a 4 out of 5 or 1 out of 5 chance That what you get isn't high CBD, it's high THC?
Well, I also think that you can, with one strain, you can get a bunch of phenos,
Sure.
TGA, they're so famous for different phenos within, certain strains. So, you could definitely get that with a Harlequin, I'm sure, where, you get one pheno that has more CBD than the other. And it's just up to testing, if you're using it on a child.
Yeah.
You want to just know how much CBD is in it anyways, and you want to make sure that, I don't know how you'd handle that in terms of making sure that your child has, even from the same grower, it could be, they could grow different phenos. So, it could be a challenge for that. But I definitely think that it's the combination of of cannabinoids within a strain that can help a patient.
Oh, yeah.
Regardless of like the sometimes we there's so much that we don't know, but the combination of cannabinoids within a strain and the environmental stimuli that went into creating this strain, that also has a huge part to play in the medicinal values of it.
Yeah.
So,
and this kind of variability, though, 1 out of 5 samples is going to be almost the opposite of what you're looking for. That's more than just, different phenos. That's a major problem for the consumer. And then the other side of this is looking for contaminants. The first 2 samples turned up the bacteria Enterobacter asburae, a fecal bacteria, and Gardnerella vaginalis. Try and guess what Gardnerella vaginalis is. Basically, it means people aren't washing their hands enough when they're handling weed, and they're getting these bacteria on them. And the irony of this is, in Washington, under I-502, the recreational stores have to test for the contaminants, for the THC, for the CBD. If I had my little legal weed thing, I could show you the label that's on it. It shows exactly, the farm it came from, when it was picked, when it was harvested, all that. Yeah. There's no law for that in medical in Washington State. Their dispensaries are quasi sort of legal. Maybe they're not. Maybe they are. So there's at least 300 medical dispensaries in Seattle alone that have no rules on testing or quality or potency or anything. And this guy, Randy Oliver from Analytical 360, says is exactly the opposite of the way it should be. Yeah, although I don't like the implication that, hey, just because you're recreational, you should be able to smoke some shitty weed. No, nobody should have to smoke the shitty weed. It's just that the medical people should be getting the same rules as the recreational, right? Right. Oliver says he gives a failing grade to about 15% of the recreational samples that it treats for mold. And he says medical pot stores rarely seek tests of mold and other contaminants. Colorado, of course, doesn't require contaminant testing, but most of these folks test themselves, and Colorado has rules on hand washing and sanitation, right? So this can only get better through legalization and regulation, but boy, I tell you, Washington's got to get on this as far as their medical marijuana. You can't have this kind of lack of standards for patients.
Well, I'm just curious how fecal bacteria could get on, your cannabis. It could be gardeners, handling their own cannabis, and they just had gardened, and you'd want them to wash their hands.
You would think so. My God.
Wash your hands.
Hey, that bell means that it's 4:20 here in beautiful Potland, Oregon at Roller J Studios. I know that
we need to roll another J.
Zane got something rolled up, and I got another refill cartridge for the Tie Stick Vaporizer pen. Some nice oil in there. We'll be back. Herb Thrasher's with us next.
You can get 420 Radio on the go with our Shoutcast stream for all internet-enabled media players. Go to rad-r.us/420shout or just click the Shoutcast icon below the live radio feed at 420.
Join us for the International Cannabis Business Conference September 13th and 14th in the Portland Ballroom at the Oregon Convention Center. The International Cannabis Business Conference will focus on the emerging cannabis industry in Oregon, the United States, and around the world, putting you in front of the industry's foremost entrepreneurs, political leaders, and attorneys. Also showcasing over 40 cannabis-related industry exhibitors, offering VIP lunches and free nightly networking events. Prepare yourself for America's next great industry.
I don't use marijuana, but as a teacher of 36 years, I can tell you lots of other people use it. I don't believe in prohibition. I don't think it works. Prohibiting it hasn't stopped anybody from getting a hold of it. I would like to see it regulated so that maybe kids can't get a hold of it so easily. I know they get a hold of it now very easily. I support a new approach to marijuana. I support legalizing it. It's with us. It's not going to go away. And if we can get money through the taxation, we can also educate our kids about it. That's why I support it.
Congressman Andy Harris thinks it's okay for medical marijuana patients to go to federal prison, even though Maryland passed a medical marijuana bill in April. On May 30th, Congressman Harris voted against an amendment to respect Maryland laws and protect Maryland patients. Why would Congressman Harris vote to send patients like this to prison? 72% of Maryland residents support medical marijuana. Is Congressman Harris out of touch with Maryland?
Are you a hypocrite? If you live a closeted cannabis lifestyle, you are. Read about 7 people living a closeted cannabis lifestyle who are on the verge of coming out in The Hypocrites by Mara K. Eaton. Available at areyouahypocrite.net. You can purchase the book on Amazon and Barnes & Noble, also available on iTunes. Check out Mara K. Eaton on Facebook as well. Learn more at areyouahypocrite.net. At Herbie's Cannabis Seeds, we pride ourselves on bringing you the best quality seeds from the world's most respected cannabis seed producers, all at the lowest online prices. You can find Herbie's Seeds at herbiesheadshop.com. All cannabis seeds are sold as souvenirs and as a means of preserving cannabis genetics. Herbie's Seeds in no way intends to condone, promote, or incite the use of illegal or controlled substances. We strongly urge all prospective customers to check their national laws prior to placing an order. Herbie's Seeds at herbiesheadshop.com. Proud sponsors of The Russ Belville Show and 420 Radio.
Everyone knows music and marijuana go together, so let's wind up our 20 after break with the Russ Belville Show's Daily Toker Tunes, the best in pod-safe 420 music from around the web. Today is Rockin' Friday, featuring rock, metal, and the hard edge of alternative country. Now, sit back and enjoy your Daily Toker Tune.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, not only is he made of metal and marijuana, he's a confirmed speaker at the Seattle Hemp Fest and Boston Freedom Rally. It's the heavyweight champ, Herb Thrasher.
That's right. 3 rings here in the last decade. Roll Tide. Football season too. Russ got to mention that. He won't mention that part. How's it going, everyone? Happy 420, everyone. We're doing great. Hope you guys are too. Real excited for another episode of Herb Thrasher Flower Hour tonight. Got Steve Fun. If you guys have ever been to the Seattle Hemp Fest, and if you've ever been in front of the McWilliams stage, you have seen Steve Fun. You might even have talked to him. He has been the captain of that stage forever and been on the core staff of the Hemp Fest forever and helped grow this event. He's a Washington activist, and he's going to give us a lowdown on the Seattle Hemp Fest tonight. Any questions, you guys email him in, tweet him in, he'll know it. Or just check out the show tonight, and we'll talk all kinds of stuff with Steve Fun, who runs the McWilliams stage for the Seattle Hemp Fest. And then tonight, we'll finally get to air some of this footage from the String Summit. Real excited. We went about 3 weeks ago, and it just got so much footage, and tonight we've kind of put a lot of it together and be able to make some sense of it. So we've got interviews and pictures and music and weed and all kinds of good stuff. So you guys join in tonight for the Herb Thrasher Flower Hour. Bringing us to our Rockin' Friday right now today is Under Sin. And speaking of Seattle Hemp Fest, these guys are on Cabby Gold Records and will be playing the McWilliams stage on Saturday. So you guys all around know the rockin', so many bands, there's 7 stages. Well, the McWilliams stage is kind of the rockin' stage. So you guys on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I'll be speaking the McWilliams stage on Friday at 6:50, I think. I think Russ has a speaking engagement on that stage as So a lot going on at Williams Stage is Under Sin. And this tune is Misery. And as I said, they signed with Cavi Gold Records about 3 months ago. They played the Rooftop 420 party, and they've done a small run with Tantric here recently, playing some shows. So they're fired up. They're in recording right now at Robert Link Studios, recording an album for Cavi Gold Records, and should have that out here soon. They're going to be in Oregon City, August 23rd. So those of you guys local, you can catch them there. If not, catch them next weekend at the Seattle Hemp Fest. This is Under Sin, and the tune is Misery. Join us tonight for Herb Thrasher Flower Hour. You guys have a safe weekend. Catch you on the other side. Fire 'em up.
Every day I wake up to your mess. Make my life feel nothing but distress. Killing me with an anger inside of you. And I know that you left an open wound. You left an open wound. Kinda tired the way you look down on me. In this dream that's filled with your misery. And I know that nothing's what it seems. Kinda tired the way you look down on me. Think of your misery. So I stitch myself up real tight, not knowing if I will be alright. And I start to give you an attitude, and I know that you left an open wound. You left an open wound. Kinda tired the way you look down on me. In this dream that's filled with your misery. And I know that nothing's what it seems. Kinda tired the way you look down on me. Think of your misery. The way you look down on me. Think of your misery. Kinda tired the way you look down on me. In this dream that's filled with your misery. And I know that nothing's what it seems. Kinda tired the way you look down on me. I'm sick of your misery. The way you look down on me. Sick of your misery. The way you look down on me.
You can get 420 Radio on the go with the TuneIn Radio app for all mobile platforms. Go to rad-r.us/420tunein or just click the TuneIn Radio icon below the live radio feed on 420radio.org. The law offices of Omar Figueroa would like to remind you to stand up for your rights. If you are detained or arrested, treat law enforcement with respect and stand up for your rights by repeating, "I respectfully invoke all of my legal and constitutional rights. I do not consent to any search and seizure. I want to remain silent, and I want to speak with my attorney." Please contact the law offices of Omar Figueroa at 415-489-0420 or 707-829-0215 or on the web at omarfigueroa.com.
You know Herb Thrasher from the Herb Thrasher Flower Hour. Now get ready for Herb Age Designs for the proud cannabis consumer. Herb Age Designs, lifestyle gear for the 420 friendly. Herb Age Designs, we've got Frisbee golf discs and durable hemp gear. Herb Age Designs, we've got shot glasses, drinking glasses, coffee mugs, and beer cozies. Check us out on Facebook and online at herbagedesigns.com and follow Herb Age and Herb Thrasher on Twitter.
Big Daddy Fink's Funky Roller Rink, the best in late 70s soul, funk, and disco. Every Thursday at 5 and 8 Pacific with 2-hour replays Friday at 10 p.m. Pacific,
on.
As part of your organization, Dan, you are essentially targeting 10 or so states for legalizing recreational marijuana: Rhode Island, Vermont, New Hampshire, Hawaii. What's your sense of why those states could be ripe for legalization?
Well, the states that you mentioned are most likely to do this legislatively. They don't have a ballot initiative process there like we do in Colorado and Washington, where ballot initiatives were recently passed, and like we do in Maine, California, Arizona, Nevada, and some other states where we expect in 2016 or maybe even sooner initiatives will pass to tax and regulate marijuana.
And Reed, is it a sense that this could end up being another sort of coastal, middle America divide, or red state, blue state divide?
Well, aside from a few states like Nevada and Arizona that you just mentioned, every other state in that list has one thing in common: they have Democratic legislatures. And in those states, you know, one of the big stories that we're telling at GovBeat is the divide between red America and blue America.
Yeah.
Red America is restricting abortion and cutting taxes on everything, whereas blue America is legalizing gay marriage and legalizing marijuana. So here we see, again, that sort of patchwork nation, as you mentioned. It's the coastal version.
The International Cannabis Business Conference takes place September 13th and 14th at the Portland Ballroom in the Oregon Convention Center in Portland, Oregon. Featured speakers include Oregon Senator Floyd Przansky, U.S. Congressman Earl Blumenauer, Daily Dish blogger Andrew Sullivan, author Doug Fine, and Harborside CEO Steve D'Angelo. To learn more, visit our website at internationalcb.
Music from Flotsam and Jetsam. This is Ugly Noise. Metal Blade Records, of course. Another big, well, I don't know, record label, I guess? Yeah, another big record label. I'm having trouble with my thesaurus today for some reason. Could be the Vapor Pen. I won't deny that. But, yeah, Metal Blade Records, another big record label that's featured on the Herb Thrasher Flower Hour Friday nights, 8 p.m. Pacific Time live. Replays Saturdays, 8 p.m. Pacific. 2 hours of metal and marijuana, backstage interviews, small club performances, and a little look at sports, too. Do a little bit of everything. Also, stay tuned because Herb Thrasher is going to have a really big surprise for you. I can't tell you what it is. That's the way, otherwise it won't be a surprise. But he's got big news coming up soon. And we'll tell you as soon as we know more. More no? It's definitely the Vapor Pen, man. Oh my God. Wheels are coming off. But welcome back. It's Toker Talk Radio, 34 after the hour. And I want to go to this story. Oh my God. Okay, you know, the whole reason I'm here is because of drug testing. You know, this was not the career arc I had planned or had imagined. I had a career in information technology that was just about to really launch into the next level and was derailed by drug testing. I find drug testing disgusting and despicable, and I'm against it for everything. I'm even against it for airline pilots and train conductors and nuclear engineers and everyone. It doesn't work. It doesn't tell us anything that's worth knowing. Now, there's worries that, somebody could be a drug addict and they wouldn't be trustworthy and blah, blah, blah. If you need to get to someone's blood or their piss as a drug addict to tell you whether or not they're untrustworthy, you've got some supervisory issues. Should be pretty apparent by then. Regardless, let's get away from that. Just talking about general employment out there. It's disgusting and immoral. We had a story just the other day where we were talking about a school district in Indiana that's handing out, if the parents want them, for free, home drug testing kits for their fifth graders. For their fifth graders. What kind of lesson? You know, they always talk about on the other side, right? They're like, what about the children? What kind of message is legalization going to send to the children? What kind of message does it send to little Billy and little Dolly? Is there any girls named Dolly anymore? Anastasia. I don't know. Miley. Anyway, what kind of message does it send to the kids? Hey, you know, we trust you and we love you. and we know you're a good boy or a good girl, but we really need to have a cup of your pee to prove it. What the hell kind of message does that send to a little kid? Now, I'm of an age, I'm 46, where that wasn't really even a thought. You know, when I was hitting 5th grade, it was, 1978, 79, somewhere around there. The big trend in education back then was bilingual education. Back in Idaho, right? I lived in an area that was in a town that was very stereotypically separated by railroad tracks. One side of the railroad tracks, City Hall, public library, banks, right? Go under the railroad tracks, because we had this underpass, right? Go under the railroad tracks, other side, all signs in Spanish. Very stereotypically segregated. And I grew up on the Mexican side of the tracks. And there was a big push back then for bilingual education. And I got to come up in a school that was 75% Hispanic. Many of the kids that I went to school with that were my best friends were first generation American, right? And that was what we were into back then when I was in 5th grade. In 6th grade, it was the whole gifted and talented thing. Let's invest in kids that are, that have gifts and talents and maybe get them out of a stale, boring classroom routine where they've already memorized the book the first 2 weeks of school and put them into some pursuit that might develop them some more. And, you can be the judge of whether that had a beneficial effect or not in my case. But point being, when I was coming up as a 5th or 6th grader, the whole idea was, how can we educate kids more? What kind of more outside the box thinking kind of programs can we come up with to develop their young little minds? Because, I believe the children are the future. Teach them well and let them lead the way, right? Sure. Well, we get in the 80s, Just Say No, Fried Eggs, 90s, Zane's generation growing up with drug dogs, and to patrol their bags. And now the 5th and 6th graders, where we still have these school districts that don't have up-to-date books and where the teachers have to, out of their own pocket, spend money to be able to get notebooks and pens and pencils and whiteboard markers or whatever else. While that's still going on, somehow there's always enough money to supply free drug tests for the 5th graders. What kind of message is that sending to the kids? I know the message that I was sent as a kid was like, hey, we're interested in your future and your education, and we want to invest time and training and money into you. Oh shit, if I could still speak the level of Spanish I spoke when I was in 5th grade, oh man, I'd be so much further ahead right now. Somehow I've got to build that back up. But what foresight, right? This was 1979, and they were thinking, hey, it might be a good idea is if more kids knew Spanish. That'd be a good idea for the future, right? But anyway, back in the day, that's what we were all about. Let's see how we can invest in the kids, make the kids a little better. Now it's all about testing their pee. So the latest story on this comes out of Tennessee. Caught this on Think Progress as well. Tennessee is another one of the states, there's like 11 of them, that have decided to drug test for welfare. Because by God, we're not going to have these shiftless, lazy welfare bums getting high on their public dime, taking public money, these parasites, taking the public money and using it to buy weed. Now, never mind that, nobody's ever provided evidence that this is true, right? Nobody's ever bothered to show that, hey, we've got these statistics that show that people on welfare, my God, they're spending all their money on weed. They got nothing to show that, right? And this goes back to the previous story talking about racism and perceptions, right? Because a lot of that perception of the shifty, lazy welfare person, the first face conjured by a lot of people is not a white one. So, Tennessee is one of these states, one of these 11 states that decided we're going to drug test the welfare recipients. Now, previous states have run into some problems with that. We'll get to that. But here's the situation. In Tennessee, they started a drug testing program in July for anyone who wanted to apply for welfare. And they have gotten 812 people who've applied for welfare. And they've got one positive drug test. That's right, 1 out of 812. All right, now here's the details, right? They can't just drug test everyone who wants to apply for welfare. because the courts keep coming back, these pesky courts and that gosh darn Constitution. They keep coming back and saying, just because someone's poor, that doesn't give right for the state to, be poking around in their bodily fluids. Silly Constitution, thinking poor people have rights. Anyway, so the courts have found that, like when Florida tried this, they did it for 4 months. Drug test everybody, and then the courts had to come in and say, no, you can't, that's not being poor is not reasonable suspicion to think someone's committing a crime of having drugs and ingesting them and being high and all that, right? So, the latest drug testing states have said, well, we've got to come up with this way for there's a reasonable suspicion. We'll come up with a test. They did this in Utah, right? They have this screening process. And so the way the screening process works is they have this battery of questions they can ask people. And other things that they can test on, like have they had a previous felony drug conviction? I don't even remember all of the details, but there was a few of them. But one of them was this questionnaire thing that supposedly, if you answer it the wrong way or the right way, depending on, I guess, your perspective, that gave them the probable cause. It said, aha, that person's likely to be a druggie, and to be able to seize some of their pee. Or not, if they choose not to get welfare, right? It's a choice. It's not compelling anything. Your pee, if you want, if you want some money, you got to give us pee. Anyway, so Utah's one of those states, and so Tennessee, in their program here, their questionnaire, it's not even a questionnaire, I guess it's a freaking postcard or something. They have to answer 3 questions about drug use to get benefits. He who crossed the bridge of death must answer me these questions 3. The other side, ye see. Yeah, we got a troll at the welfare bridge here. Gonna ask you 3 questions. Okay, so they ask the 3 questions, and if they answer yes to any of the questions, they get referred to urine testing. So if you answer yes to any of the questions, you got to go to pee testing. Like, I'm wondering who's answering these questionnaire. I mean, this has got to be like one of those, I have read the terms and conditions. Yes, I have. Sure, I have. Right? There's got to be one of them questionnaires that anybody of any sense is going to look at it and go, no. Whether they're going to lie their ass off, people. I mean, I don't see how a 3-question test is somehow valid. All right. Anyway, but if they answer yes to any of the questions, they get referred to a piss test. If the piss test is positive, they have to complete a treatment plan. Well, I'm sure somebody's making a buck on that. And then they get to take another test. And if the second test comes back positive, they get cut off from benefits for 6 months. So, here's the basic deal. You apply for welfare. You have to answer the 3 questions. If you answer yes on any of them, you get a piss test. If the piss test is hot, you got to go to forced rehab. And then after you complete the forced rehab, you take another piss test. And if it's hot, then you don't get any welfare money for 6 months. I don't mean you, of course. I mean your kids, since the majority of the beneficiaries of temporary assistance to needy families are children. Nevertheless, you don't get your money. And of course, if you don't take the drug test, well, then you don't get your money. So, in the month since it began, 6 people submitted to a drug test. So that would tell me, out of 812, 6 people were dumb enough or honest enough, depending on your perspective, to answer yes to one of the 3 questions. And just one of them tested positive out of the 812 people who applied. Okay, so I guess you want to put a spin on it. You could say 1 out of 6. Our drug testing program caught 1 out of 6 people who were flagged as suspected drug users. Literally 1 out of 6. Okay. 4 were turned down for benefits because they refused to participate in drug screening. That means a positivity rate of 0.12% for those who took part in the screening. That compares to 8% of the state residents generally who use illegal drugs. Speed Limit's got questions for this supposed quiz. Question 1, spell bong. My question. Question 2, do you smoke? A, yes, B, no, C, cigarettes? That's definitely on the quiz. So, and this compares, by the way, this 0.12% positivity rate compares to Utah. They got 12 positives in a whole year. And in Florida, when they did it for 4 months, 2% of the applicants. Now remember, in Florida, they were drug testing everybody. No little 3-question quiz. They were drug testing everybody who applied, casting a very wide net, and still only 2% of the applicants failed the tests. But Florida in general has an 8% rate of illegal drug use and a 145% rate of alcohol use. Yes, that's statistically possible. You just visit Florida, you'll figure it out. All right, so the kicker here, the cost of this. In Utah, to get those 12 positives, the program costs $30,000. In Florida, now they come up with all this thing about how much money they'd save in Florida because, well, we caught these 2% of the people, right? And so the 2% is X number of people times Y amount of money they'd get per month, and then times 12. That's how much savings there'd be in a year by not giving money to poor people's kids. So we would save all this money by denying welfare benefits to poor people's kids. And that money we saved just about breaks even for how much money we spent. But at least a bunch of poor kids didn't get any money. And then in Virginia, they tried to pass this, but they figured out that it was going to cost them $1.5 million so that they could get $229,000 in savings. So the ironic twist on this, of course, is that part of the reason the costs outweigh the savings is because the welfare benefits have been reduced so much in the first place. There's not a whole lot of them to recoup. Anyway, we're going to take a break.
Sir, do you think there will or should come a time for us to discuss the possibility of legalization, regulation, and control of all drugs, thereby doing away with the violent criminal market as well as a major source of funding for international terrorism? Thank you so much for your time, Mr. President.
Well, I think this is an entirely legitimate topic for debate.
Name the time and place, Mr. President. Radical Russ has been prepping for this debate full-time since 2005. The Russ Belville Show.
You can get 420 Radio on the go with the Ustream video app for Android and iPhone. Go to rad-r.us/420Ustream or just click the Ustream app icon for Android or iPhone below the live radio feed at 420radio.org. Growing plants indoors can be a rewarding hobby, but electricity bills can go through the roof. Then you have to cool down all those big hot lights. It can drive a grower insane. With Lush LED lighting, you can solve many of these issues and double your rewards. Matt and his scientists have developed the perfect light for flowering plants with far less cost and heat. And the results? Very effective. Check out LushLEDlighting.com right now.
If you're an adult who enjoys a good beer, there's a similar product you might want to know about. One without all the calories and serious health problems. Less toxic so it doesn't cause hangovers or overdose deaths, and it's not linked to violence or reckless behavior. Marijuana, less harmful than alcohol, and time to treat it that way. For more information, visit marijuanaissafer.org.
I'm Radical Russ Belville, and I want to thank you for listening to 420 Radio. We couldn't survive without you and our sponsors, and I'd like you to check out one of our prime sponsors, the National Cannabis Coalition. I've been working with NCC since June of 2012, and I'm proud to be part of the team they have assembled. National Cannabis Coalition is building the partnerships with reformers, lawmakers, and industry we need to be successful. Visit the National Cannabis Coalition website at nationalcannabiscoalition.com or the easier-to-remember ncc420.com. That's where you'll get the exclusive first look at my radical rants, as well as informative articles from the nation's top cannabis pundits. Visit ncc420.com today, and if you have your phone handy, text Russ to 420-420 to support NCC and 420 Radio. It's a free text message that helps us help you end adult marijuana prohibition. Learn more at ncc420.com, and thanks for supporting independent marijuana legalization public radio.
Well, it's Friday night, I'm gonna have some fun tonight. Well, it's Friday night, I'm gonna say Seattle's too. Well, I drove on my Zoot, say Seattle's too. I'll be swinging my silver chain, looking oh so cool.
Welcome back. That's some good Tex-Mex blues you can rock and roll from Los Lonely Boys. Got to see them at the Waterfront Blues Fest this 4th of July weekend. Great show with the Brothers Garza. And there are three brothers, right? Bass, guitar, and drums, as God intended. And the drummer, the brother who's the drummer, first name, Ringo. Yes, Ringo Garza on the drums, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. It's Toker Talk Radio, and just wanted to do a little bit of tooting of my own horn here while I had the mic, because that's what I do. But anyway, here, I made some graphs last night because the data came out from the Colorado Youth Risk, or it's the Healthy Kids Survey in Colorado. And the preliminary data from 2013 showed that fewer kids are using marijuana in Colorado since they both, in 2009, started regulating dispensaries and in 2013 began legalizing marijuana. And it's quite a thing to see. The graph is up there on the screen. The boxes representing the U.S. in the foreground there, right there. This is the rate of teen monthly marijuana smoking that has gone up for the United States as a whole, but for Colorado has dropped. And then lifetime use, like have you ever smoked pot in your life, for the U.S. kids has gone up. For the Colorado kids, it's gone down. And the numbers, I'll put those on the screen for you real quick. Oh, can't do that or else it'll super expand on me. We don't want that. I'll just read them to you. But basically, it's been a flip from one side to the other. In 2009, 20.8, like 21% of high school kids had been smoking in the month. That's gone up to 23.4%, a little over 23%. So it's gone up a little bit, 3 points there. For Colorado kids, from 2009, it went down from almost a quarter, 24.8%, almost a quarter, down to 20%. So they've gone from 1 out of 4 kids smoking pot monthly in Colorado to 1 out of 5. Now, of course, they don't pose it that way in the media. It's been coming out in the media as 1 out of 5 Colorado high school kids smokes pot. Oh my God. Well, yeah, it's down from 1 out of 4. That's pretty good, huh? And other charts back this up, because after I read the press release, Mason Tvert from MPP had a press release on this and highlighted, that, hey, prohibitionists got to stop pretending that loosening or regulating marijuana laws is going to lead to more teen use when clearly it doesn't. I decided to dig a little deeper into the numbers. Now, the preliminary only gave the lifetime use, the monthly use, and the risk perception. The risk perception number is the one where, kids think weed is scary, right? And that has gone down, but it's gone down in Colorado and gone down in the United States, but the United States has seen more kids using. So what's going on here? So I had some graphs to show on that as well. This is the breakdown by grade of the kids in school, right? So what it is I'm taking a look at the relative change in percentage points, right? So like over here in Colorado, 9th graders, from 2009 to 2011, in the 2-year gap there, it dropped over 5% for 9th grade kids. Lifetime use, and over 5% for monthly use for 9th grade kids in Colorado. Look at 9th grade kids in the U.S., though, according to the CDC, lifetime use went up over 4 points and almost up 3 points in monthly use. In fact, 9th grade use grew more for lifetime use than any other grade level and was the second highest growth of any other grade level of U.S. kids. Contrast that to Colorado's, Where, yeah, the seniors, the high school seniors, it wasn't so drastic a drop, but for all the younger grade groups, it was a drastic drop. Legalization is not only dropping the teen use rate, it's dropping it where it needs to drop the most, the 9th, 10th, and 11th graders. Here's another nice little chart I made. They chart this thing, they ask the kids, how easy would it be for you to pick up some weed? How easy would it be for you to score? And they rate, not easy, maybe it's easy, fairly easy, or very easy. And in Colorado, the numbers are lower for their teenagers than they are on a national basis. Now, it's slightly different numbers. There's a little apples, oranges here thing going on. And I want to be honest about that, because in the U.S. numbers, we're talking about, I got to drop that a little bit. All right. So the U.S. numbers, we're talking about 16 and 17-year-olds combined. But the Colorado numbers are 12th graders and 11th graders. But if I remember correctly, 12th and 11th graders are 16 and 17 years old, right? And these numbers on the side here, this is all kids aged 9th, 10th, 11th grade, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th grade. So that would be, 14 through 17, right? And that's the U.S. 14 through 17. But still, what this shows you is that U.S. kids, on the whole, find it easier to get pot than Colorado kids do. And one other graph, and these are all available on my Pinterest account, by the way. The risk perception. More Colorado kids think regular pot use is risky than United States kids. You heard me. The kids in the legalized state think pot use on a regular basis is riskier than the kids in the United States as a whole. All of them, or breaking it down by 11th and 12th graders, same basic result. Legalization is what is keeping weed from our kids and teaching them about the actual realistic risks of weed. The data continue to show it, and we'll be here on 420 Radio and the Russ Belville Show to bring it to you. Hey, that's all the time we got for the entire week. Thanks for joining us. Replays of all 420 Radio programming play all weekend long. Stay tuned next for the Herb Thrasher Flower Hour and his exclusive interview with Max Cavalera from Sepultura and Soulfly. And then replays of this show's 2 hours, followed by the 8 p.m. live edition of the Herb Thrasher Flower Hour. For Big Island Zane, I'm Radical Russ. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week at Seattle Hemp Fest and the Canacon. Follow at Radical Russ for programming updates, because, we'll be doing it live. Somewhere, somehow. See y'all later, and until next time, take care of each other, tokers.
This is the Russ Belville Show. The Russ Belville Show is blogging and podcasting daily at radicalruss.com.